Let's give Tuesday's Daily Puzzle on chess.com a shot. This one's called Loose Pieces Hang Together. It's white to move. Give the video a pause and try it yourself if you feel like it. So this is a check, but both knights cover it. I obviously have rooks pointing down these files. I could just immediately go here. The king would be forced here. Or no, it wouldn't actually. I guess the king or the knight could block. If the knight blocks, I think I have checkmate though. So if I go here, knight blocks, check here. If the knight takes, then I can take with the rook, and that's mate. If the king moves back, I take, and that's mate. So if the knight blocks after this check, I have checkmate. If the king moves here is more what I'm worried about. I wasn't finding the line immediately. I definitely have a discovered attack with my knight. I just win the rook. But I'm down a lot of material here. I'm down a queen and a knight. So winning the rook isn't good enough. Check. I gotta find a checkmate here. Ooh, double check. Is that it? Is that mate? That's filthy if that's mate. Okay. Here, if the king goes here, I think I just have this. Protecting the rook, checking the king with two different pieces. And the king has nowhere to go. That's sick. And the king has to move because it's being checked by two different pieces. And it can't. So that's mate. That's a nasty checkmate on a Tuesday. So I think there's only two legal moves for black. This one leads to mate after the knight check, and this one has this nasty resource, which is a double check with my rook and my knight, and it's just checkmate. King's got nowhere to go, and the king has to move because it's getting checked two different ways. Let's give it a try. Okay, the king move, and then this is just mate, because my rooks have all of these squares. The rooks are just covering everything, and my knight gives the second check, so the king has to move, but it can't. All right, there's a checkmate on Tuesday, dude. Very nice. All right, let's run that back one time. Sweet puzzle today. Kind of tricky, I think, for a Tuesday. There aren't a ton of checks in the puzzle, and I think this is tricky because after you give this check, black only has two legal moves. The first one is for the knight to block. If the knight blocks, I can hop in here with my knight, and then my other rook is going to take away all these squares. Again, black only has two legal moves. If the king moves back, I just bring my rook in, and that's checkmate. Or alternatively, so knight blocks, knight check. If the knight takes, then I just bring my rook in here and take the knight, and that's checkmate. So that move doesn't work. Can't block with the knight. So the only other move in the position is for the king to move here. And that's what happens in the puzzle. And I was looking at this for a second, trying to figure out how to make this work. And finally saw that this move is a double check because I'm hopping out of the way. So I'll be checking with my rook and also with the knight. So it looks like the knight could take my knight, but if the knight takes my knight, the king's still in check. And if you do anything else, if you try to block my rook, I'm still checking with the knight. So I'm checking with two different pieces. So in that circumstance, the king has to move, but the king can't move because my rooks take away literally every single square from the king. So this is just checkmate. That's the Puzz, baby. Thanks for watching. Catch you later.